The Zyari arrived without warning, but cloaked their entrance in elegance. 3 vessels, each carved from iridescent alloys, hovered above Earth's orbit like ornaments on the edge of the void. They called themselves envoys, not conquerors, and their message played in every language on every screen. We come with peace, not demands. We offer knowledge, unity, and elevation. Most of Earth's population cheered. After decades of preparing for a hostile first contact, the relief was overwhelming. The aliens looked serene, fluid in movement, faces fixed in gentle expressions. Their diplomats radiated calm. Their language, though translated, carried the tone of practiced sincerity. It all seemed too perfect. Inside the UN command bunker, General Reyes didn't blink at the message. He watched it loop 3 times before turning to his staff. "Give me Vanna." Director Vanna arrived via secure hololink, her tone clipped. They're broadcasting on civilian and military frequencies. Unencrypted. That's either stupidity or arrogance. Reyes nodded. "I don't believe in stupid aliens." Earth's leaders convened behind closed doors. Publicly, they issued statements of welcome. Privately, they dissected the Zyari's language patterns, body movements, ship design. Every smile was examined. Every pause was scrutinized. AI-assisted voice analysis registered 89% probability of deliberate emotional modulation, akin to neural calming techniques used in hostage negotiations. Then came the historical data. 3 systems had encountered the Zyari before: Irax, Boltan, and Jurith. According to what the Zyari shared, these civilizations had chosen integration. But no independent transmissions, archives, or survivors ever emerged. No cultural exchange. No signs of shared technology. Just silence. Clean, clinical silence. "They erase," Vanna said. "Not with fire. With silk." So Earth responded in kind. A delegation was prepared. Diplomats trained in interstellar etiquette, flanked by soldiers in civilian garb. The ship was presented as a peaceful envoy, but was laced with countermeasures, surveillance nanites, and passive weaponry disguised as environmental systems. Every human on board had undergone psychological inoculation against neural influence and wore skin implanted shielding against potential biopsychic interfaces. The Zyari welcomed them with open arms. Their flagship was a cathedral of harmony, soft light, graceful architecture, sense calibrated to human olfactory preference. And yet, the air was too clean, the rooms too symmetrical. Every Zyari wore the same smile, spoke with the same cadence. No variation, no disagreement. Lieutenant May, posing as a cultural attaché, made note, "They've rehearsed us like a script." Meanwhile, cloaked stealth drones launched from the delegation ship mapped every centimeter of the flagship's hull. They discovered conduits sealed behind organic plating and used, yet powered, chambers below the main deck line with neural feedback beds. Energy signatures consistent with pulse-based behavior modifiers. The delegation smiled and nodded, recorded everything and sent it back to Earth. Reyes watched the footage in silence, jaw clenched. Vanna reviewed the neural grid layouts and muttered, "They're prepping us for something. We just haven't tripped the signal yet." The official Earth response to the Zyari was generous, diplomatic, and grateful. But out beyond Mars orbit, 5 stealth cruisers activated blackout protocols and drifted toward the edge of the system, silent, invisible, and waiting. Earth had learned the hard way that peace rarely came without a hidden price. The delegation followed the Zyari deeper into the flagship. Hallways curved like organic veins, lights adjusted based on human emotional responses, and soft harmonic pulses filled the air, barely detectable but calculated to influence mood. The Zyari smiled through it all, never blinking too long, never looking away. They asked questions, listened attentively, and offered gifts no one had requested. Ambassador Halden accepted the ornate crystal offered during the second meeting. It pulsed with faint light, supposedly a harmonic tuning relic from their home world. Halden's smile didn't falter, but May's fingers tapped 3 times against her sleeve. An agreed signal. The relic was quietly swapped during a routine sanitation cycle. Earth's onboard AI scanned it within minutes. The results were clear. Layered neural emitters, nanoscopic in design, set to activate on a proximity signal. Low energy but persistent. the type of tech designed to nudge decisions, not force them. Meanwhile, the drones had located a data node behind one of the flagship's meditation halls. What it showed wasn't spiritual guidance. It was footage, thousands of hours of Zyari negotiations across different species. In every clip, the structure was the same: smiles, offers, integration. Then silence. No resistance. Just disappearance. In one frame, a reptilian diplomat screamed silently before his image faded into static. Earth's team didn't speak of it, but every member watched it twice. The Zyari, oblivious to the breach, increased pressure. They proposed joint colonies, exchange programs, offered to build a peace pillar on Earth, an obelisk humming with resonance, meant to align planetary frequencies. They even shared tech schematics, carefully curated, likely misleading. None of it passed Earth's vetting. At the same time, Earth's analysis division began breaking down hidden layers in Zyari transmissions. Buried deep beneath the universal translator feed were embedded pulses, inflections tuned to stimulate trust centers in the human brain. Director Vanna had seen similar attempts in black market AI psyops. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a soft invasion. Halden, during a private dinner with Chief Harmonizer Kelvise, asked casually, "What happened to the Jurith? We haven't been able to reach them." Kelvise's smile remained fixed. They were grateful to dissolve their individuality into collective harmony. You will understand when the time is right. The words were chilling not in tone, but in certainty. They didn't consider resistance a possibility. On Earth, Rhea's ordered Operation Horizon to Stage 1. Orbital satellites massed as commercial array systems realigned into high-res targeting configuration. Earth's moon base stopped transmitting publicly and began relaying to deep sky comm relays on encrypted bands. Every second, data flowed from the flagship: cultural cues, atmospheric composition, security weaknesses. They were building a map, not just of the ship, but of the Zyari mind. When May intercepted a minor pulse through her neural implant, an unauthorized scan from one of the crystalline ornaments, she didn't react. But the signal was log duplicated and reversed through a feedback loop, causing a silent systems crash in one Zyari's handheld. The aliens didn't notice. They weren't watching for pushback. They thought the humans were buying it. They weren't. The day after the scan incident, Earth's delegation began delaying meetings. They cited physiological adjustment periods and cultural decompression. The Zyari responded with understanding. Too quickly, too rehearsed. They suggested guided meditation, shared neural syncing, and emotion-regulated sleep chambers. It was clear they had expected hesitation. What they hadn't expected was resistance laced with precision. While the humans rested, Earth acted. Shipyards on Luna and Titan ceased all public transmissions. Civilian feeds were replaced with archived data loops. Behind the blackout, production lines accelerated, assembling weapon platforms designed not for war, but for one specific target: the Zyari. Reverse engineering of the stolen data revealed weak points in their shielding harmonics. Earth's engineers, working in zero-light conditions, fed targeting data into long-range coil guns that were already being positioned in deep space. Simultaneously, cybernetic teams back on Earth launched a series of silent infiltration programs into Zyari communication bands. These were not traditional viruses, but adaptive learning systems capable of translating, mimicking, and eventually overriding commands. They were injected through handshake protocols. Harmless-looking files passed during diplomatic exchanges. Each handshake was a payload. Inside the Zyari flagship, Ambassador Halden pressed further. "Your people have much to offer," he said, "but Earth values its identity. We don't want integration. We want partnership." Kelvise responded with the same calmness. "You will want it soon. Understanding always comes. Choice is not denied, it simply matures." The words were noted, logged, and tagged under passive-aggressive coercion. Subtle threats under the illusion of peace. Meanwhile, May and the covert team on board finalized the installation of a high-compression quantum relay node inside the flagship's comm spine. The moment Earth gave the signal, it could remotely collapse every data stream in and out of the ship, cutting it off from its fleet. A localized blackout device. Cloaked as a diplomatic gift, was also planted in the main conference chamber. At the same time, Earth's Psychological Operations Wing compiled a predictive behavioral dossier on the Zyari. Their history of domination wasn't overt conquest. It was manipulation through cultural seduction, emotional disarmament, and then complete neural realignment. Their weakness was their assumption of superiority. They believed that any race exposed to them long enough would eventually choose to comply. That arrogance was fatal. Reyes watched the simulation feeds with cold resolve. "They think we're still discussing terms," he muttered. "They don't realize we've already decided." Back in orbit, Earth stealth cruisers activated silent drift trajectories. They no longer hid. They simply blended into the cold space behind asteroid belts and inactive satellites, waiting for command. Each was armed with single-strike ordnance meant to disable, not destroy. At least not yet. Director Vanna stood in her bunker, eyes on the Zyari linguistic analysis models. The embedded persuasive patterns were increasing, slowly, subtly, but deliberately. Their influence techniques weren't passive anymore. They were initiating conversion. She keyed in the override code for Protocol Horizon Stage 2 and whispered, "We gave them the benefit of the doubt. Now we give them the consequences of our preparation." The conversion signal was triggered at 0200 UTC. A soft pulse, wrapped in harmless frequencies, passed from the Zyari flagship into every Neuralink device worn by the human delegation. Meant to override fear, suppress aggression, and replace doubt with trust, it struck a wall of reinforced code and synthetic inhibitors. The implants didn't just block the signal. They logged it, analyzed it, and returned a decoy response indicating successful compliance. The Zyari smiled, unaware. 10 seconds later, Earth's trap activated. The calm spine of the Zyari flagship went dark first. The relay node planted by May fired a burst of code that hijacked internal routing protocols. Alarms meant to sound were rerouted into dead circuits. Visual feeds were looped to show comm corridors. Doors sealed shut across critical compartments, locking the crew into their sections without a single gun fired. Across space, Earth stealth cruisers snapped into motion. Targeted EMP bursts struck the escort vessels flanking the flagship. Power cores destabilized just enough to force emergency protocols. Their defensive networks crashed before they could identify a threat. From the dark, railguns fired tungsten darts wrapped in magnetic casings, silent, invisible, and terminal. The escort ship spun, lights flickering, before drifting into silence. On the flagship, Kelvise turned to Halden with a slight head tilt. "Your minds did not respond. That is surprising." Halden didn't smile. "We planned for this." A moment later, the blackout device in the conference chamber activated, cutting all external links. The human team rose, not with weapons drawn, but with a series of calm, synchronized movements. May reached into her diplomatic satchel and produced a projector node. She placed it on the table between them and activated a secure Earth channel. Director Vanna's face appeared, expression unreadable. "Kelvise, you offered peace laser control. We found your fingerprints on extinction events dressed as unity. You misjudged us." Kelvise blinked slowly. "You choose violence?" "No," Vanna said flatly. "We choose self-defense." Every human orbit station around Earth, every lunar base, every hidden orbital cannon lit up. Zyari construct in Earth's atmosphere. Peace towers, their calling cards, were wiped from the sky in synchronized strikes. In less than 7 minutes, every Zyari structure on or near Earth was erased with surgical precision. Zyari reinforcements arrived through warp fissures moments later, expecting celebration. They found wreckage. Before they could react, Earth's final message broadcast across their fleet in a tight band encoded pulse. "We accepted your peace with weapons behind our backs because we knew what peace meant to you. We are not your next Jurith. We are Earth, and we never bow." Panic bloomed in the Zyari ranks. Not fear of violence, but of miscalculation. No species had ever refused them after phase initiation. None had seen through the smiles. None had struck first with such cold accuracy. Kelvise sat frozen in the silent chamber as Earth's team exfiltrated. "You are different," he whispered. Halden paused at the door. You told us choice was an illusion. We just gave it back to you. And Earth left not to conquer, but to ensure the stars would never again mistake its silence for submission.